Waugh. Sometimes it's a bit ugly waiting to go out and face the Lions. You have to sit and wait for some guy has a drink. Sometimes it's very good to go straight in the wicket, but he's out there for one reason. And that was Mr. Boone was out caught behind, and the conjecture is whether it come off his helmet right off the Australian badge. Look at David's eyes here. He can tell that he's actually missed that by a fair way, to be quite honest, but it was very, very hard for the umpires to actually tell. It's just a bit disappointing because he knows it's a big test match and the West Indians are jubilant. And you can just tell, just coming off the lid of the helmet. And Mr. Brown gets his first dismissal in Test cricket. It's a bit hard to tell from that angle, but you could tell from the spin vision, or the helmet vision, it's just come off. But it's a tough decision, and it's one that's gone the West Indies' way.
Certainly a very dramatic moment. And the Australians invested very heavily in David Boone. And Boone, of course, is the batsman that the West Indians most respect in the Australian side, and they'll be delighted to see the back of him. They've always feared him more than anyone else. And the man that's now going to confront them, they don't fear. It's going to be a great test of Mark Waugh's character and strength now to resist Curtly Ambrose. That was predictable, very predictable. Mark Waugh played that well, but he is going to be in for a very, very torrid time.
Mr. Ambrose just saying good morning, Mark. And nearly put him on his backside. But I think Mark was ducking before he let it go, almost. Played it well there, though. Avoided it. And he's got a torrid time at the moment.
So wicket maiden. 2 for 50, and a very dramatic breakthrough for the West Indies.
And now I believe Mr. Mark Waugh will get some chin music, as the West Indies call it. It's in the short stuff. There's changes going on by Richie Richardson now, no mid on. It's gone to a lucky leg gully. Obviously, with this type of field, he's not going to get too many balls pitched up.
Defending satisfactorily. It's 2 for 51.
Now it's Mark Waugh has to face the music. It's funny, they were having a mid-wicket conference before and they having a bit of a giggle. Mark Waugh's not laughing now.
It's finally over at 2 for 57. Curtly Ambrose, who's got a little luck going his way today with that contentious dismissal of David Boone. Shivmarine Chanderpaul replacing Keith Arthurton momentarily. Of course, when he ran into proceedings in Trinidad, he took a memorable catch.
Some gentlemen have different things to do as superstitions. Mark Waugh has a little one in regards to having stickmen with his hundreds put on his thigh pad. As you can see, Victoria has made a few against, of course, against the Western Australia. He puts double heads on the ones he's made 200. I think he's made 45 first-class hundreds. You can't quite see it through there, but it's a... He'd be hoping to put one really good one with WI underneath one today.
That's a glorious shot. That's characteristic of Mark Waugh in full flight. Australians will be encouraged by that.
Fantastic shot. That's one of his strengths. He has made a 200 against the West Indies, playing for New South Wales. Just rocks on the back foot and just pumps it through backward point. And as you said, Mike, I'm quite amazed that Dunraj isn't in the gully. He's had a point, but maybe I think he had a sore thumb. Chandra Paul, I'm sorry. There he is. He has got a sore thumb after catching that unbelievable catch off David Boone in Trinidad.
Should be testing time for Mark Waugh. In 1991, he was hit here in the Jamaican game and then was very unsettled in the test match which followed. And it wasn't until Guyana when he really started to feel a greater freedom that he felt comfortable to tour the West Indies. And so returning to Sabina Park will revive some fairly unpleasant memories for him, so it'll be important to see how he gets through this first half an hour or so. Adjusted late then.
Mark Waugh and Sunil Gavaskar make their bats 1.5 inches longer in the blade. It makes them stand up, they believe. Instead of crouching over the bat, they like to be nice and balanced, keep their head still. And Mark has an upright stance, feet quite close together. Quite legal.
Glorious on drive. They won't carry, I think. They're going to have to stretch their hammies and quads. No ball from, says Carl Liebenberg. The Australians have seen where he will have the wind at his back. Significant with the Australians yesterday that both Glenn McGrath and Brendan Julian were far more potent when switched to this end with the wind behind them. He's been a little unsure whether to use 2 or 3 slips. He pulled out the 3rd slip to Kenny Benjamin in the last over to mid-on, and Richie has been leading from mid-on, as he is at the moment. Lara and Hooper, both got exceptional hands. I felt, Dean, that Richardson has been more authoritative and more demonstrably in control as captain from the slips cordon than he has been at mid-on. I know often it is said that it's good for the captain to be close at mid-on or mid-off to talk and reassure the bowlers, but I just felt particularly in Trinidad when he could maintain the pressure, he looked so much more in control as captain from slips cordon.
Well, there's a reason why, Mike, because most of the time they don't need a mid-on or a mid-off, and so he's got to field somewhere else. Because the way they bowl, with the ball going through between waist and chin all the time, it's very hard to hit the ball down to mid-on. But these two guys, it's just starting to settle in. A long way to go, though. And they're just trying to keep it a bit tight. They realise that Mark Waugh's very strong at mid-on. They don't want to give him any easy runs. They try and bowl between waist and chin, at the body a bit more, with the leg side, with Jimmy Adams in there with 5 hands.
Would you have a silly point in for Waugh at this point?
Well, it's interesting. Depending on the line he's bowling, I just think that Courtney doesn't mind bowling to Mark Waugh. As you can see, the 2 guys on the leg side, Jimmy Adams, as I said, catches anything in there. And
he'll spend a little bit of time on his hands and butts, I would imagine, today.
And the umpire just telling everyone that's your first bouncer for the over. Of course, you're allowed to bowl only 2. Back at home in Australia, the umpires don't do that. They just sort of have a little whisper to the bowler, which I think is fair. If the batsman wants to ask if he's had 2 bounces, the umpires can give the answer, but it's nice to keep things a bit quiet. And not tell the batsman what's going on, because sometimes I think it's a silly rule. It's an interesting one. It's whether you're only allowed 2 bounces or 3 bounces and over. Countries around the world have reduced or actually expanded 1 bouncer per over to 2, which I think is a good thing.
Just in front of Adams, lunging again. Magnificent reactions again. But he had to go forward and to his left. But he's in such touch at the moment, one senses he can do it.
Well, he tried to work that one around the leg side, and just to his credit, he made something out of nothing. He just bounced in front of him. Adams is unbelievable effort. He's so quick, so athletic in there.
Atherton returns from the rooms. Mark Waugh well in behind that one. Now to get well in behind the microphone, it'll be Tony Cozier with Alan Warder.
After the last half an hour of what really has been a very eventful morning, I just feel we haven't yet had the end of the excitement.
This is Test cricket at its best, Tony. Everyone's working so hard. The batsmen, they realise their responsibilities out there, but equally, West Indian fast men have really bent their backs this morning. A lot of short pitch bowling, but that's to be expected on this sort of wicket because it is such a good track. As soon as you stray in length, especially on the fuller side, the batsmen are right onto it.
Yet altogether secure.
A little bit early on that shot, just popping it up in the cover area, but quite safely. A lot of hard work to be done yet. The bowling's been of such high calibre throughout the series, and with the excellent catching, even on the flattest of wickets, or what appears to be the flattest of wickets, runs are very, very hard to come by, and nothing's changed this morning.
Slater comes in to strike, therefore the man goes back deep. The 2 out waiting for the miscued hook. And there's another one. This one seemingly off the glove. Slater is going for them, riding his luck.
It certainly is, Tony. He does play a lot on his adrenaline, and obviously there's a fair bit pumping through the body. This morning here we see another short ball. He's taken that on the gloves and just gently in the air down to fine leg, but it's high risk cricket, but at the moment he's hanging in there quite well.
Red shirt.
find it very difficult to wake him up to begin with and then get him to move. And I can't quite understand what all the fuss is about. The red shirt. That's the problem mainly. Got him to move. Now you look for another resting place. End of the over. 2 for 71. No ball. We've had quite a few of them this morning. It's not really been a big factor in the series. West Indies used to bowl so many no balls back in the 80s. But just barely over that crease, and the umpires are eagle-eyed this morning. They have been throughout the match. We've had 10 no balls already overall, 3 scored off. Completes the over from Kenny Benjamin at 2 for 73. Time now left for just about 2 overs before the lunch break. And it will be Walsh to bowl to Mark Waugh. Brown in his debut test match. He'll feel satisfied with his performance so far. He's gloved the ball pretty well, hasn't allowed anything to drop out. And he's had quite a bit to do. Certainly wouldn't have kept to, I would say, all of these bowlers before. Williams after it will get 2. Courtney Brown has played for a West Indies A team, but certainly not Courtney Walsh, certainly not Curtly Ambrose, and I doubt whether he would have kept to Kenny Benjamin in representative matches before, so all new to him.
Tony, has he ever stood up to the crease, up to the wickets? He's the first wicket to fall. Most amazing piece of fielding. Mark Waugh has hit that right off the meat of the bat, and great reflex catch.
He's had a couple of good catches like that in the series. He took Brendan Julian in the Trinidad Test match. This one came off the bat very quickly.
Bang, and straight into the hands. Great catch.
Yes, on the question of Courtney Brown, he has in fact stood up to the wicket. Winston Reid, the left-arm spinner for Barbados, bowled quite a bit this year in the Red Stripe Cup, as he did last year. It's gone very fine and gone for 4.
We talked a lot about this morning, a lot of short pitch bowling, and typical response. Always risky, but it's one thing to occupy the crease. You've also got to play some shots, and I think you should pick your moments and take the aggressive bowling on every now and then.
Second wicket to fall for Australia was that of David Boone, and Courtney Brown did take his first catch here.
Short ball, David Boone tipped the hook shot. Here to get a top edge on that and through the keeper. David didn't look very happy with the decision.
Well, a slow ball from Walsh, and over pitching and driven away for 4, so an expensive over. 10 runs coming off it. It's 3 for 91.
He's got the leg gully, the short leg in. He's got the short cover or distance to limit off. So the pressure is on Mark Waugh. Just sways inside it, so it's an incredibly intense time for the Australians, Dean, and if ever Australia has need the brothers Waugh to perform, this is the moment.
Well, they've got to do some security work here. These guys are running behind the side screen, and they've got these guys that are pretty hard on people walking through gates. I wish they stop people from walking behind the side screen as well.
Goes. What sort of techniques are required mentally when there's such consistent short pitch bowling in terms of maintaining concentration? It must be very difficult.
It's a very good question, Mike. You've just got to understand that you're not going to get balls in your area to hit. Like, you're not going to get too many drives with this field. You're going to be bowling a lot between waist and chin, and you've got to be very good off the back foot. You've got to be very good at weaving, ducking. But the major thing, you've just got to keep your eyes on the ball all the time.
And that, of course, has been Mark Waugh's greatest problem at times during this series. 2 or 3 times, very tellingly, he's taken his eyes off the ball. And he's taken quite a number of body blows. He really hasn't dominated the series as was anticipated. Of course, no batsmen have, with the possible exception of Brian Lara.
You got on these wickets, Mike, I believe, is that because it's a little bit up and down, and you don't know whether to duck or weave. Now, Mark Waugh has got into this start to push that one down wide, but he just gives the appearance that he's thought about sort of trying to weave, and the ball followed him. And once you start trying to duck on wickets like this, the ball sometimes doesn't get up and hit you in the back, or hit you in the fingers, or like Mark Waugh's got. And again, these guys, he must get paid a lot of money for the side screen work. They aren't doing a really great job.
Good reactions again from Jimmy Adams.
Well, there's a few guys have been talking to him to try and lift his attitude. You can tell he's got the arms crossed and he's a bit dejected. I don't know why. He's just got to understand that when he's bowling, he's got to expect people to feel well for him. And when he's fielding, he's got to do the best for his bowlers. Now we've got problems of some guys at the other end with a side screen. Well, there's no side screen this end. It's quite a large press box area. Carl Liebenberg is telling these guys to move around. I think there's a ladder there. He's going to pull the ladder. He's been there all day, but obviously it's worrying him. He's quite in his rights to move it around. And the guy's just laying it down. God, there's been so many stoppages in play here, Michael. It's very frustrating, not only for players, but to get an actually rhythm for the game, and they love their rhythm over here.
It's so irritating, Dean, because it's such an absorbing contest at the culmination of an absorbing series. And it's so fundamental. Lovely shot. Ambrose really striding out this time. The 100 comes up. They're fielded by Richardson, but Ambrose also really did stride out then in pursuit of that. I think that he's received the message clearly enough from his vice-captain, Courtney Walsh, and his fellow Antiguen Winston Benjamin to gird his loins and lift his game. Position. And all of this is alleviated. What a difference it makes. They played that late and played it well. And it will run to the boundary. It's just a measure of confidence coming here from Mark Waugh.
Yes, Mike, he played it very well. He let the bowler's pace do all the work. Nice, like he learned this shot in one-day cricket. Just ease it down there. And try to get under it, get over the top of it, and let Walsh's pace do all the work to get down to the boundary. So that's good cricket. That's where he thinks he can hit a 4. Mind you, I think if he bowls on his legs, he'll try and whip it, as we've seen already.
Nice work. Very nicely taken by Courtney Brown too. Awkward. He's a tallish keeper. He got down to that very well.
Good cricket all round.
The leg gully. It's just a little squarer than that. Ducks under it. 12 off the over. 3 for 112.
And you just hope that your equipment is good enough to look after the blows.
Oh, glorious shot. The square drive. Majesty in that. Majesty.
Well, Mark says, well, Steve, if you can play that shot, I can too. Just gave the Waugh brothers a bit of room. Didn't try to hit it too hard. The timing and the poise and a very good effort in the field there, but again it's gone for 4. And this is one of the problems that Benjamin has. He bowls a couple of good ones, but at the same time it just doesn't get his line right. And good players like these two fellas will jump on it. But he does bowl a very good ball occasionally. You have to be careful.
Full toss. Well cut off. I think an encouraging moment here, Dean.
Bit of toing and throwing out there to make a few more adjustments. Captain Richie Richardson and Winston Benjamin conferring and making the adjustments there. Curtis Ambrose being removed from behind square, coming into mid-on to plug that gap where so many runs have been scored in this Test series.
Chance for run out and overthrows. So the push to mid-off has resulted in 5, and Jimmy Adams deserved a slap on the wrist. Ball may be caught. Curtly Ambrose does.
Well, Kenny Benjamin saw a chance here, and he had to try and take it. This is the type of pitch on which any half chance of a run out, you've got to try and take it. Would have been pretty safe, but with no one backing up, Jimmy Adams with that forward short leg. Kurt Ambrose with that. Picture there certainly has looked a lot more composed in this innings than previous in the series.
Another no ball. That's the 15th no ball in just 32 overs. And of course, it doesn't please the captain too much. third man has come into play now. No Gully. That is after a point. And two slips fieldsmen, Lara and Hooper. Lovely field from the streak after him. Left-handed and does it pretty well.
He's an excellent fielder, and this is why so many people are quite willing to put up with Keith Atherton not making as many runs as they think he should make, because he makes up for it in the field. Still would love to see him getting a few more with the bat, but he's an excellent fielder, that's for sure.
57 overs remaining today, so that could take a while. Two drinks breaks in the middle session, so about a quarter of an hour away from halfway through the day's play from a time point of view, and yet only 33 overs have been bowled, 57 remaining, so it's not quite so equitable.
I think the way things have been going, David, there's going to be a possibility of us seeing Carl Hooper coming into the attack. And that could, of course, speed up the over rate. And if Mark Waugh is still at the crease, it could also increase the run rate, because he has been taken to Carl Hooper in this series so far, both test matches and one-day games. And as I said before, he's looking very, very good in this innings. Looking menacing as far as the West Indies is concerned.
Bit more of a normal field for Benjamin now. Two slips to Gully, three on the offside. And the forward short leg is still in place for Jimmy Adams, but there is a mid-on and a fine leg. So more the traditional type field for the medium-fast bowler. Great fielding by Williams. It's a lovely pair of hands.
He has been fielding very well in that position. Took a very good catch earlier on in the series. And there again, stopped 4 runs. No third man in position.
Another bit of lovely fielding. Adams and Boone have made that spot their own for their respective countries.
And if you notice, Jimmy Adams is fielding just a fraction deeper now that Winston Benjamin is bowling, giving himself just a bit more time to see the shot. He's perhaps about 2 yards deeper than he was previously.
Well, a lovely shot from Mark Waugh. He was going to let it go, but then obviously the ball was a bit slower off the pitch. And great skill shown by Mark Waugh. 3 for 146.